Welcome to the first ever episode of AVTV. I'm joined today by the Gold Coast Seagulls, St George Dragons, Adelaide Rams, Brisbane Broncos, Auckland Warriors, North Queensland Cowboys, Queensland legend and Irish international Kevin Campion. Now that was a tongue twister, but welcome Campo.
Thanks, Vowsy. It's a pleasure.
Mate, what we're going to talk about today is a little bit about your journey from where you come from, Serena, and to the top, and then after you finished playing NRL. So tell me a little bit about growing up in Serena, great little country town, Martin Bella, Dale Shearer, Wendell Saylor, some of the blokes that come out of there.
Some of the all-time greats come out of Serena. Look, it's a regional town just south of Mackay. We're in the Mackay competition, and everything's rugby league, as you know, in regional Queensland, and it wasn't any different when I was growing up in Serena. Grew up watching my dad play for the Crocodiles, and obviously, started playing at the age of 10. Mum wouldn't let me play in a few years of soccer, and then she...
Who'd have thought, eh? Who'd have thought? Kevin Campion playing soccer.
My goal kicking skills.
Yes, none.
Right in front. None from two. So, mate, it was... look, everyone aspired to be, playing rugby league in Serena, and fortunately enough for the town, had some really great players at certain points throughout the history of the club.
And I think that's something that might be missing a little bit in country rugby league now, is that not everyone's aspiring to be that A-grade player in their country town. And whereas I'm the same as you, when I was living in Charleville, I just wanted to play A-grade and wanted to be like those blokes in the country town, and it was a massive thing when I got to do it.
Yeah, it's when you get to that senior level, you want to represent Mackay, which was part of the Fowler Shield back then. Fowler Shield has a great history about it. Some unbelievable players came out of that competition as well. You look at Colin Scott and Gene Miles and Kerry Bowstead. They all played Fowler Shield. So, and then you had the Daisy boys in Mount Isa, who were revered and still revered today, and it was a real strong competition. But when you're in North Queensland, you've got to travel, so it wasn't getting in a plane and travelling to Mount Isa. It was waking up at 4 a.m. and jumping in a bus and spending 16 hours on the road to play a game that night, and basically turn around and come home the next morning.
Yeah, a lot of people on the Gold Coast complain when they're playing footy, are going to Bow Desert, which is only 50 minutes away. But like you say, it's a massive trip, not only for you, but your parents have got to give so much for you to play, just to play footy, and they'll normally do everything as well to help around the club as well. So that's a massive thing about country rugby league.
Yeah, look, Mum, and and to an extent, Dad, I guess. But Mum was the real driving force. She was the one that used to take us to footy on the weekends, Saturday, and then when we hit the 17s on the Sunday. But if we had a carnival in Townsville, it was get up early morning again, 4 o'clock in the morning to be there at 12 o'clock midday for a 1 o'clock game, and then we'd spend 4 or 5 hours there, and then turn around and come home. So yeah, look, it was I owe a lot to Mum and Dad, I guess, for those sacrifices that they made.
Yeah, 100%. And the journey to the Gold Coast Seagulls, how did that come about? That wasn't your first stop, was it? I think you got in the car and were going somewhere else, and maybe...
Yeah, it was interesting. I was sort of an up-and-coming player in North Queensland. I always had belief in myself about, going to that next level. It's funny when you look, I couldn't even make my under 17 Mackay side, which was a representative side. So I sat on the bench. I was 19th man when we played our under-17 Fowler Shield grand final, and we had the likes of Paul Tideman, who went on and played for Queensland that year, and signed with Newcastle. He scored 5 tries in that game, but I wasn't. I was very slight back then. I wasn't. I could tackle. It was I had a really good technique, but I was really small for my size back then. Same height but really thin, I guess. And then it wasn't until I started doing weights when I was 18, 19 that I started to put on a bit of size, and I found it easier when I went up the 19s and into A grade. I found it easier playing with the men and the better players. It just was a. But I guess I didn't have any lucky breaks. I had to basically do it all myself. I played in an under 19 possible and probable side to make the North Queensland side. And I played against a great mate of mine, who's Jamie Goddard. He was, and I was playing 5'8", and he was on the bench in my team. And I had a cracker that day from and I thought, scored a try and whatever. But really, I thought I deserved to be in that North Queensland side, and Grant Bell was the coach. And I didn't make the side, and Jamie, who was on the bench for our side, made it at 5'8". So I was really dirty. So I guess, that's a lot of that's what drove me, to prove a lot of people wrong, and I wanted to get out of Serena and basically prove those people wrong. And I used to, with a great mate, and Glenn Murphy, we were good mates. We were coming through the grades, and we used to go down to the middle of town where the phone boxes were, and we used to ring clubs for trials basically. And a few clubs picked up. I got a trial with Western Suburbs, and I got a trial with Manly through a phone call, and I got a trial through Penrith through a phone call as well. So that's what you had to do. No one was going to do it for me. So I did go down to Western Suburbs, and I made their under 21 side. And then I was on my way down. I packed my car. I took 4 weeks holiday from a job in Serena, and I packed the car up. And on my way down, Butchie McCall, who was a legend in Mackay, he was a captain coach of West in Mackay. He had a relationship with Grant Bell, who was the under 21s coach of the Seagulls, and he convinced Belly to let me have a trial at Seagulls. So I was tossing up the Gold Coast or Western Sydney, so it wasn't a hard choice. And thankfully, I pulled in here for, there was no promises. There was a promise of a trial, and that's just how it panned out.
And the Gold Coast Seagulls, it's, in that 92 year, in our under 21 side, there was yourself, myself, Jamie Goddard, Scott Sattler, Jeremy Slosh,
Bardo, I think you could
Wayne
say.
Bartram, that all ended up going on to play, lucky enough to play Origin, and it was a fair side. And we'd have kept that side all year. I reckon we'd have probably won the competition. But the Gold Coast had a nucleus of really good, talented players, but it was just one of those clubs that just obviously disbanded, but could have done so much better.
Yeah, I guess for me, I wasn't a big fan of, I grew up watching the Brisbane League, so I didn't know much about the Gold Coast Seagulls. And it was funny when I rocked up here, I didn't even know that, Wally Lewis was going to be the coach. But I knew Dale Shearer from Serena was married to my cousin Delise, and there were some familiar faces there when I got there, which was great. There was Gary Cullen, who I played against in Mackay, so we struck up a friendship straight away. I rocked up to the club on the same day as Jamie Goddard, so we rented a house together. So it sort of all fell into place when I got here. Met yourself, and there was Robert Tocco and Andrew Whittington. Great mates still to this day. So those first 4 years of my career were probably the best in my early years.
I agree as well, and we all lived at the Isle of Palms Resort at Elanora. There's about 14 of us lived there, so that made the camaraderie even better, I think. And my mates if we weren't at training and working, we were doing stuff, we had tennis or whatever, but we were just having fun, and as you do it at a young age, and I think that was the making. Now, you went on to play first grade at the Seagulls, Gold Coast Seagulls, under Wally, and we played first grade together. In fact, you set me up for my first ever try against Manly, so that must have been a big buzz, coming from Serena, country boy, dreamt of it, and you got to do it.
Yeah, it was. It was a bit surreal. I think looking back, those first 4 years. My first year in '93 when I debuted was such a whirlwind year. I played nearly every game. Sat on the bench for a few games, but just to be playing alongside Brent Todd and Dale Shearer and Steve Jackson, And then you had Danny Peacock and Terry Cook. It was it's a wonderful experience. Something that I didn't think would come so quickly. But yeah, we all trained hard, and I was very lucky to get a start, I guess.
Yeah, we only won one game that year, which was disappointing, but we did have a good side. And so, how did the move come to the Dragons, St George Dragons, in '96?
Yeah, well, I signed Super League. I had an opportunity to sign the ARL, but they were only, I think Donny Ferner was the CEO at the time, and he offered us $40,000. But Super League were offering, $100,000 with a sign-on fee of $40,000. So it was a no-brainer for me. I just, and it was an opportunity to play professionally. So that was, you could concentrate on your rugby league as a full-time job. When I signed, I obviously had you had a say in where. Well, I didn't have a say in where I wanted to go, but there was options of where you wanted to go, and I wanted to go back to North Queensland, or I wanted to go to Brisbane. But those two didn't sort of fall into place. So all the discarded players that clubs didn't want at that time had signed Super League went to Adelaide or Melbourne or the Western Reds. So it was an experience to go down to Adelaide, and met some wonderful people. And rugby league's all about meeting people. But I did. Fortunately, they didn't go ahead that year in '96. We trained the pre-season, but it didn't go the News Limited way in the courts, and I had to go somewhere. I came back to the Gold Coast and trained for a week. And I guess this is a thing of proving people wrong. I had a chat to Phil Economides, who was the coach, and I had Adrian Brunker, who'd gone down to who was a mate of mine. He'd gone down to St George, and Brunks had spoken to David Waite and said, you need to sign Campo. So I'd spoken to David Waite, and I rang up Phil. I said, mate, I'm going to go and sign with St George. He goes, mate, you won't make that team down there. And I thought, oh, maybe I won't, but maybe I will, and I'm going to get out of it because I needed a change. It was like, my career wasn't moving at the Gold Coast, so I needed a change. And St George, being the traditional rugby league great club, it was an opportunity to go down there and play with the likes of Mark Corn and Anthony Mundine and Nathan Brown and Scotty Goulet and those types of players. So, but again, nothing. There was no promises. I had to go down there and work hard, and luckily enough,
and it worked.
It worked, yeah. I played a lot of first grade that year, and actually, we made the grand final at '96. We lost the grand final, but yeah, we made the grand final.
Now, before betting was illegal in rugby league, when I was at the Cowboys, we played the Dragons, and we backed ourselves at 10-1 to beat them at Cogra.
And he beat us.
And got up.
I think that was the last game.
I don't condone betting in rugby league, but
that was the last game of the season. So that we were on a roll. So we thought we'd tear you up by 30. But he's come out and beat me. That's Murph's claim to fame as well. But he's beaten every time we played each other. He beat me. So.